Welcome, everybody. I've got Professor Greg here, and we're here to talk about the new Star Wars CCG virtual set 25. This came out in early August. I think it came out the 8th. So this is like hot off the printers. I'm wearing my Star Wars CCG content creator from 2022. I think they stopped giving it out, or I didn't win it past then, but we got to up our game here, Greg. So we're gonna go over the whole.
You feel free to, like, I got a white shirt. You can AI any kind of content creator imagery you want on this.
Greg's actually a professor. So it's not even like a fake one, like the Tolarian Academy guy. All right. So what's going on with set 25? It's a pretty big set. What are they trying to do here? Like, what are some of the big themes and things that?
Set 25 is a very large set. So, what I've done is try to break it down into groupings. And I should say, like, this breakdown is mostly from the PC forums. Chris Kelly, when he posts the spoiler lists, groups everything thematically. So I stole his groupings. So thank you for that, Chris. You've made my life a lot easier. So starting with the light side, surprising set of cards, at least for me, because I'm not like always super up on the meta, is a bunch of helper cards for Rebel Strike Team came out this set. So as a reminder for people who maybe don't remember, Rebel Strike Team is this Endor-based objective. And what it has to do is, like, you've got your rebels on the ground in Endor. They're trying to blow up the bunker to deactivate the shield generator, right? And you get like a big bonus if you do that. The dark side loses, like, I think 8 force if you blow away the bunker, and they lose whatever characters are at those sites. So it's a pretty big deal if you can pull it off. And it looks like they released a couple characters and a couple other helper cards here. So Major Pano, do you know Matt?
No one.
What's the current?
No one knows.
V version of a DS2 card, right? Limits your opponent from reacting to the same site. Your scouts are immune to trample, so I assume, like, the right now, I think AT and ATST decks might be reasonably hot for dark side, and so this helps protect your characters from their tramples. Also, if strike planning on table once per turn, you can take a card from your hand, put it on the use pile, so you can cycle some cards out of your hand that you want. And then also, you can deploy scouts -1. Strike planning, by the way, there's a V version of strike planning that is made to go with Rebel Strike Team, which limits your opponent from generating force at Endor. It allows you to take leaders into your hand. It allows you to play the Falcon. So I take it anyone who's playing Rebel Strike Team these days has this V version of strike planning in it. And so Major Pano works with that. Or a Marco, if you just want to battle at same site as your scout general, opponent loses a force. I know there's like a few of those. I didn't pull up all the relevant
General
cards.
Solo is probably the big one. I think I don't know, probably some other ones.
Yeah, there's at least one other Endor scout general whose name is not coming to me right now. While on Endor, adds 1 to your epic event total, so I take it that makes it a bit easier to do the deactivate the shield generator, to pull that off. And it's for each Endor location you occupy. And then once per game, may cancel a force drain at a related battleground, right? So this looks like a reasonable helper for that. Wuta, you get another Ewok character here. You can take up an Endor site. Game text of your other scouts can't be canceled. Some other random text on him. Also, they made a V version of Rebel Landing Site, right? Which is a really key. The Rebel Strike Team starts this. So this is a card that is being started with the objective. If you're playing Rebel Strike Team, your scouts of ability less than 5 are deploy -1 and defensive value +2. And I don't remember the details of the original Rebel Landing Site right now, but I don't think it was anything particularly interesting. So this seems like a pretty nice upgrade.
It was just deploy -1, and I think maybe the dark side changed as well, because like the dark side canceled the light side, which they would just throw a character there the first turn, and then you like lost all the benefits of it.
But okay. Although maybe, I think you're right. It was maybe deploy -1, but not. It was only like Endor scouts, and this is any scouts of ability less than 5.
So Endor or DS2, or maybe not DS2. Anyways,
Something like that. So this opens it up to more scouts, but not Rebel Luke scout. So because he doesn't have ability less than 5. And then this interrupt, which has a bunch of different functions. Suspends ominous rumors, or there are many hunting you now. And what's there are many hunting you now? I think that's like a hunt down, one of the like the new hunt down hatred effect. I think it it's that card that you remember is like if you when a rebel is deployed to the same site, either the light side has to lose force or their character's game text is canceled. Maybe it's not rebel, any character, but anyway, you have a choice. The light side has a choice to make: either lose force or the character's game text is canceled. And it seems like in a deck like Rebel Strike Team, where you might need to be coming down with a bunch of cards, that would like really kneecap it. So it looks like that's a little help there. Allows you to take up some characters, Blount, or Marco, Taladurith, and/or Chewie. Then it's got some lost function as well. Lose a force to exclude opponent's passenger from battle. And again, that could be, I mean, that'll work in space, but I guess that'll also work for a loaded up AT, a loaded up AT-AT.
Oh yeah, or like a skiff, I guess. I don't know, like that's actually not do anymore.
So yeah, a bunch of little helpers for Rebel Strike Team here.
Not what I thought we needed, but maybe what we deserved. What Rebel Strike deserved.
So okay, good for you RST players out there. You've got some bonuses here. There's 2 cards, and there's also a DS mirror for this, by the way, that we'll get to, but a couple interesting cards for Senate decks. So this is a Senate, it's an epic event, right? You deploy it on the Senate. Political effects are canceled. So basically you can no longer play political effects, but there's a bunch of text embedded in here that kind of replicates some of the text that either was or similar text to what's on some political effects. So basically, depending on what agendas your senators at the Senate have, you can twice per turn target those agendas that are present at the Senate, and then either subtract 1 from a just drawn weapon destiny, or look at the top 2 cards of any reserve deck and then put them back in any order, or subtract 1 from attrition, or place a card, as long as it doesn't have destiny greater than 4, onto your use pile and activate a 4. So all these like little nice bonuses that, you know, maybe you used to need political effects for, that now you can get this benefit from the epic event. And then there's just this interrupt that's a lost or starting interrupt that allows you to start with it, but also then limits the number of effects you can have. So instead of starting with 3 effects, you start with 2 effects and this epic event. And then you take it into hand. And so then you can use that as its lost function to take up a Coruscant Guard. So alternate starting interrupt that lets you start this epic event that has some like nice political effect text on it.
And then there's pretty much just the dark side version of the set mirrors that which
yeah, we'll get to that when we talk about the dark side, but it's not exactly the same game text, but it's like similar kind of political effecty type text. So I don't know how many people play light side Senate. I know I see some, I mean, I have a dark side Senate deck. We talked about that Maul deck, but I see other dark side Senate decks semi-regularly. I rarely see light side Senate. So we'll see if this like incentivizes anyone to play it now that you can get some of that kind of political effect type bonus. And this is, you know, by the way, twice per turn. I actually don't know how to read this. Twice per turn may target your agenda here. Does that mean you can target the same character's agenda twice per turn? Or it's got to be different characters, or potentially the same character but different agendas, because some characters have multiple agendas.
I'm not quite sure. Maybe the latter.
Questions for the rule experts out there.
Get a rule expert in here.
Yeah, there's where's PC Greg, the Greg that actually knows all the rules. That's not this one. We
get some Jedi. There's a new Jedi testing thing in here, right? As well.
Yeah, we're gonna get here soon. So the big thing for light side is the new mind what you have learned objective, and the big thing for dark side is the new first order objective. But we'll get to both of those in a little bit.
Exciting preview.
Yeah. So, and we're almost there for light side. So for light side, there's a couple. These are kind of miscellaneous red cards, but they're actually all in the service of helping with this particular epic event. It's referred to like a Skywalker saga informally, but this epic event, The Force is Strong with My Family, that lets you like target mainly Anakin or Luke or Rey. And there's these decks are like reasonably popular right now. Anyway, there's some nice bonuses for some nice boosters for that. So a good friend, if that's on table, it allows you to, download a couple helpful cards. It allows you to take Anakin's lightsaber and move it between Rey. So this version is, I think, the Rey version. Move it between Rey and any Skywalker. Once per game, you can exchange a Skywalker in hand with a Ben Solo and Lost Pile. So for those that play like the Rey Skywalker saga deck, this seems to be a nice booster. And by the way, just like informally, just on GEMP in the last couple days, I've seen a lot of people playing the Rey Skywalker saga deck. So it looks like of these 3 cards, I've noticed this first one the most just in like the first couple days of set 25 action on GEMP. So that's the Rey version. There's this other one, Courage of a Skywalker. So if if an effect on table, so this is an effect related to so like a good friend is one of these effects. You can see the little icon on the right side, right, that goes with that epic event. So if one of those epic event effects is on table, then this card is Destiny +2, allows you to take a lightsaber to hand from force pile, reshuffle, or retrieve Anakin's lightsaber once per game. Battle or duel involving a Skywalker and a Dark Jedi, make a gesture on Destiny 2. So this is again a helper for some of these decks. I don't know which version it's focused on, potentially all of them. I don't play that deck, so like I'm not sure entirely which, like, how general purpose it is for that epic event.
So I will just say that I think the art has been great and it's improving.
Yeah,
but my sister has it does not hit for me. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, looking at like a good friend is like really well done, art on the left here, and then especially in comparison, the one on the right doesn't really hold up very well. But so that's supposed to be Leia, and yeah, used interrupt involving Rebel Leia. Battle destinies can't be limited, or subtract 1 from a Force Lightning or Choke Destiny. Or if you've got, one of these epic event effects on table, you can take up a Chief, Chirpus Hut, or a Guest Quarter. So these are all bonuses again for this epic of event and like the different versions of it that focus on different characters.
All right, what else do we got here in Lightside?
A couple more miscellaneous.
Finn.
There's a new Finn. He's 4/4, comes down for 4, forfeits for 6. Got some text about during battle. If a Luke or a page out of play or some other stuff, he can add a Destiny to power. Once per game, you can download a non-leader resistance character. Jedi lightsaber can deploy on him, so that's interesting. So this is the V version, I take it, of Jedi lightsaber that otherwise only deploys on Padawans or characters of ability greater than 4. So this allows you to take that that utility lightsaber and put it on Finn. Who did use a lightsaber, so it would be frustrating. It would not be canon if you couldn't throw a lightsaber on Finn. Then we've got a Mandalorian card. We got a Din Djarin's spaceship, starfighter. He deploys -1 aboard. If he's aboard, immune to attrition less than 5. You can use 3 force once per game to cancel a battle, which is some neat text there. Pretty nice looking card as well. I don't know why. I think because of the image, like so close to the ground, this reminds me of a pod racer.
It looks like it's going to crash. I mean, these 3 cards all look professionally done.
Yeah,
right?
That lightsaber is really sleek too.
Yeah, like I also forgot that with Din Djarin's like ship, they did the Naboo space fighter. It's like such fan service. Like
right. Let's see. The Leia's lightsaber deploys on Leia or Ben Solo or Rey of ability greater than 4, so you can't put it on that like the original Rey. Adds 1 to defensive value and immunity to attrition, so that's like a nice little boost. And 1 to 4 strain, and then otherwise regular lightsaber. But the bonus to defensive value and immunity is a nice little text there. That seems like a pretty, as long as you're playing even one of them, but especially if you're playing more than one of these characters in your decks, that seems like a really good lightsaber to throw in there.
I agree. I mean, so far I'm like pretty into this set. I'm like thinking about what I might even toy around with myself. That's not
yeah. So some good looking, so far for the most part, really good looking cards, some like fun utility stuff. Now here's the big thing for light side, which is that the PC has finally virtualized Mind What You Have Learned, which is notoriously a very difficult and frustrating objective to play. In just that it takes so long to pull off all the Jedi tests. And it's just like, it's a struggle to do that while also splitting your attention elsewhere on the game board. So I think people have been wanting this for a while. And I should say in the last number of sets, the PC has released a number of virtual versions of cards to go with the Mind What You Have Learned objective. So there's now a virtualized Yoda's HUD, a virtualized Yoda, virtualized Son of Skywalker, and more that came out before this set. And so now there's actually a pretty decent chunk of cards that they've devoted to making this objective more playable. So looking at the basic gist here, it starts already very different. So if you look at the 0 side here, you're now, instead of deploying Dagobah System, you're deploying Belden's Corridor, which is a Cloud City site, and Yoda's Hut, and with Dagobah Yoda there to start with, and no disintegrations and patience. And I'll talk about some of these in a little bit, but notice you're starting a lot right away. Other things are roughly the same in terms of sense, although notice this is interesting. I think in the old version, actually let me pull up the old version. So in the old version, it was sense and alter. It's add 4 to any sense and alter. Now it's sense may not target characters at non-battlegrounds. And so it seems like the idea is the old version like kind of blocked you from using sense with like Yoda at Dagobah, but now with this new version, if you put a Jedi or whatever, a high ability character elsewhere off of Dagobah, you can still use sense and alter of them, just not with Yoda on Dagobah, which is like an interesting little change there. Your non-Dagobah characters with ability greater than 4, except Ahsoka, are lost, so the character pool seems a lot more limited. Although they have released some new characters to go with this, which we'll get to. And once per turn, you can deploy Bespin System or Cloud City site. So notice, like right away, it looks like this new version is much more focused on the sort of Dagobah Cloud City connection and sending Luke out to Cloud City than the old version, which I think is like already a kind of neat change. While the setup, you can deploy Wise Advice or Yoda's Hope. I think that's the same. You can also deploy Dagobah locations, while on the 0 side, you can still deploy the Cloud City locations on the 7 side. And then another big difference is you can flip whenever you want, as long as Luke is on Dagobah, which is, we'll talk about, I guess, some of those differences here in a minute. But the old version, no one really flipped because it was so hard to get to Jedi Test 5. So here you can flip whatever you want, but you won't be able to, I think, Jedi Test after that. So there's a kind of question of how far you want to go before you're ready to flip. And then looking at the 7 side, the old version here is on the left, right? So the old version, you would retrieve a ton of force, which in today's game just like doesn't work because you'd have to pay 10 force to do that. No one ever got to it anyway. So on this version, when you decide to flip, you immediately take Luke and whatever cards are on him into your hand. And then what it allows you to do is it allows you to, as a react, deploy Luke and a weapon very cheaply. So I think, if I'm reading this right, you can deploy him as a non-react, just regularly during the deploy phase for regular use of the Force, or you can deploy a -3 as a react. I guess that's nice, but the risk there is if the react is canceled, then Luke doesn't, deploy, right? But anyway, so you take him up, you can put him down wherever you want. And then this is interesting. May place a completed Jedi test, even if suspended out of play, to take a Cloud City Rebel into hand from Lost Pile. So what does that mean? It looks like what that means is that once you've completed Jedi tests, which give you all these bonuses, you can choose to sacrifice some of those Jedi test bonuses to get characters out of your Lost Pile, which also, again, it kind of strikes me as a neat mechanic because you've like built up training Luke to get these bonuses, but now you can kind of sacrifice some of those bonuses to sort of save your friends. So I kind of like this mechanic. I haven't seen it in action, but it seems neat to me.
No, I totally agree. I don't. This is still a clunky objective, but like they're kind of making it better, maybe.
Yeah, I've seen people playing it on GAMP. I haven't watched those games too closely. You know, there are some other cards we'll go through that I think allow you to complete objectives quicker than you used to be able to. So we can talk about those. But I do think that just generally speaking, the whole format of Jedi testing was always clunky. And I think the PC can't really get around that entirely. But I definitely, at least so far, this seems to me to be like neat and thematic changes. And so, I'm not an expert enough to understand how it's going to play. Because you're still doing, it's like this side quest, right? But I mean, some decks are like that, right?
Yeah,
okay. Anyway.
Anyways, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so what else? While you're Cloud City Rebel, when you force strain with a Cloud City Rebel at a battleground, unless a captive on table, lost force must come from top of reserve deck. So unless there's a captive, then your opponent has to top deck their cards when you drain with a Cloud City Rebel. So that seems interesting as well. Okay. What do you start in this deck? You start this Belden's Corridor site. It's a 2/1 site. While a Cloud City Rebel here, their fire has gone out of the universe, flips and may not flip back. So that's hunt down and destroy the dragon. That's hunt down. So that's the flip side of hunt down. Basically, if you have a Cloud City Rebel there, you flip hunt down to the 0 side, and then the hunt down player has to come at you here to flip back to the 7 side. So this is some interesting thematic text with hunt down, it looks like. You also start Dagobah Yoda's Hut, which is not a new card in 25, and Yoda, which is not the new card in 25. Both of these V versions are pretty cool. I won't go through the details of them, but they've been a huge help for people who have been playing Mind What You have learned over the last couple of years. So that's what you start with. The other big difference, by the way, there's a few other cards. So by the way, Patience also starts, right? And No Disintegration starts, and Yoda's Hope is pullable. So I've thrown them all on this. These are all new set 25 cards as well. Patience is the real big one. It's an epic event. If your Dagobah objective on table, deploy table and stack 5 Jedi tests here from outside of the game face up. And so the idea is you don't have to waste 5 card slots anymore for your Jedi tests. You can keep them outside of your deck, and then this card stacks them. So that has now freed up, depending on how many Jedi tests you used to play, 2 or 3. I think people would play to 3 and then stop oftentimes. But this now frees up 3 or 4 or 5 card slots in your deck, which is a really nice bonus. It's got some other text here. So only Luke may be your apprentice. So now it's limiting your ability to use another apprentice. You can deploy face-up Jedi tests from here as if from hand. So it works as if they're from hand. Complete a Jedi test, go on table. Jedi tests are suspended while Luke not on table. So Luke has to be down. So when you pull Luke up when you flip to the 7 side, he has to come back down before you can re-get those bonuses. Okay, good. Once per turn, if you just lost force from a force drain and you do not occupy a battleground, turn a Jedi test face down here. So what this means is that if you don't occupy a battleground, so if you're only on Dagobah doing Jedi training, right, and you're not occupying battlegrounds, when your opponent force drains you, it makes your Jedi tests unusable. So this kind of incentivizes you to come down to a battleground and either fight or at least be at a battleground, even if you're not where your opponent is, because otherwise you have to take your Jedi tests, flip them from the upside to the downside, and then you can't now use that Jedi test anymore. Although there is, I think, a interrupt that allows you to flip it back. But so this is like an interesting mechanic. And then during battle, Jedi test number 3 is suspended unless Luke battling alone. So Jedi test 3, for those who remember, it's you subtract 1 from each of your opponent's destiny draws. And so the idea here is that that only works if Luke is battling alone. It doesn't work with everyone. So it's interesting. So this card, it frees up your 5 slots in the deck, or 3 to 5 slots in the deck. But it also has a couple costs built into it as well.
I mean, it's interesting how much they've done for what I think is, I mean, by what you learned is just like hard to do, and they're trying to make it less hard to do.
Yeah, exactly right. That's exactly right. Notice integrations during your once per opponent's turn. If their warrior present where a Cloud City rebel, except Luke, is about to be lost, opponent must choose either capture and seize that rebel or lose 2 force. And so basically this looks like when you battle with your opponent and you're about to lose a card, this is like interestingly thematic. They have to make a choice. If they want that card to go lost, it's actually a big cost to them. Otherwise, they need to capture that character, which means that you can get that character back if you kill the dark side character that is holding, who has seized your character. So that's like a interesting mechanic here. And then it's got some anti-bounty hunter text as well. And then Yoda's Hope just helps with training destiny draws, and Jedi tests may be attempted at start of opponent's deploy phase. So if I'm understanding that correctly, that would allow you to do Jedi tests as normal during your turn and then also during your opponent's turn. Or am I reading that right?
I think that's right. There's a lot of interaction happening here.
I am unfortunately not as enough of an expert. So again, flag this for people who know more than me. If I'm reading this right, then this means that you can do a Jedi test on your turn and then also on your opponent's turn, speeding up your Jedi testing. But I could be wrong about that. Okay, so they've also made some character, or I don't know, you want to talk about anything else here?
No, let's go into characters.
Okay, so character helpers. So these are all, notice Cloud City icons. So remember the deployment restrictions. So you've got a Captain Han who Vader's text can't target him. You can deploy Han's heavy blaster from the reserve deck or lose a force, deploy from Lost Pile. Draws a battle destiny if unable to otherwise. 2 if with Chewie or Leia. You can take up a Cloud City Lando if he's about to be lost. So this is like a really nice Captain Han Solo generally, honestly, it seems to me. Not even for just this deck alone. The Chewie here, while with a captive droid or opponent's maintenance card, adds a battle destiny. So that seems some really nice text. He's got a permanent weapon on him. The Lando with blaster rifle comes down for a pretty cheap 3. He's got a permanent weapon on him. And some interesting text. If your total battle destiny is odd, you can retrieve a force, or 2 if the total is 11. Some gambler text here, basically.
Okay, but I mean that's fun. I love a Lando. Yeah. Good shot. Actually, it's a cool Lando.
Yeah. So we've got some nice cards to work with the objective here, or some nice characters. We've got a site that they released as well to go with the objective. So it's Carbonite Chamber. It's a 4-strain. It's a 1/1 4-strain +1. Once per game during battle, you can retrieve a smoke screen into hand. By the way, one thing just to say really quickly, going back to the beginning here, you start with a lot of force in this deck. You were starting with 6 force, just based on what starts here. So, and you can get a lot of force out, which I think much easier than you could in the original Mind, which you have learned. A new Jedi Test 5, which limits the ability to use the text that you can use here. So once per turn, twice if at peace on table, whenever you're about to draw a card for Destiny, you may instead use the upside down. So for Jedi Test 5, basically once you complete it, you draw, what is it, 2 cards, you reveal 2 cards, and you place one of them on the Jedi test, and then you can substitute that destiny. The old version, it's whenever, as much as you want, as many times per turn, and now it's limited. So weakening Jedi Test 5 a little bit, which I think a lot of people thought was too strong. And now that it's easier to complete it, or you can complete it quicker, I take it that the idea is let's limit what we can do here. And then the last 2 cards, a couple interrupts. One is a lost or starting interrupt. So you will go to the Dagobah system. This allows you to deploy 2 effects that deploy for free and are always immune to alter, and then you place the interrupt in hand. Why only 2? I think in part because you're already starting so much anyway, because remember, you're deploying Yoda with his hut and the no disintegrations effect and the patience epic event. So if you play this starting interrupt, it limits you from starting 3 effects to 2 effects. Why would you do that? Because the benefit is you can then take the interrupt into hand, and then it's got a lost function that allows you to take Dagobah Luke into hand, which the objective no longer lets you pull him. So I guess they're incentivizing you to use the starting interrupt, which limits your starting effects, but now lets you get Luke into your hand, and then potentially also retrieve Anakin's lightsaber. And then another kind of utility interrupt that's going to work here. And so that's the Mind What You Have Learned objective, the new one.
The new one, new and improved. And that's all for light side. We got some dark side treats coming at us.
That is all. Yeah, we have some dark side treats coming along. Are you ready for the transition, Matt?
Let's do it. Let's move to the dark side now.
Okay, so dark side. And again, I'm going to do this the same way. We're going to get at the end to the first order objective, which is actually like the bulk of the cards from this set. We're going to start with some of the other cards they've released. So a bunch of helpers for Scum. And when I say Scum, I mean the Scum and Villainy effect, not necessarily a particular deck. So I think these cards can be useful for the My Kind of Scum deck, for the Court deck, for the CCT, the Carbon Chamber Testing deck, but all these decks that use Scum and Villainy and the Audience Chamber and Aliens and so on and so forth. So, as you know, Matt, I am very excited about this new Bib Fortuna, which for me at least, I'm who plays My Kind of Scum is like the best of all possible worlds. He's this kind of hybrid between the Tatooine Bib and the Reflections 3 Bib. So he deploys free to opponent's Audience Chamber. So if your opponent's playing Prophet, he comes down for 2, power 3. It allows you to deploy No Bargain, which is right next to him. While with Jabba, Bib is power +2, and Jabba is immune to attrition. And while at Audience Chamber, I must not be allowed to speak, cannot target the site. I must be allowed to speak is a very common light side effect that's used in a lot of light side decks. So this is just great. So this Bib is a leader, by the way. So for those that used to struggle to figure out which Bib to play, the Tatooine Bib was a leader. And so that was nice. The Ref 3 Bib was not a leader, but the Ref 3 Bib came down more cheaply and was also extra power. And remember, Jabba can double a character's power. And so this Bib just kind of does everything, right? He makes Jabba immune to attrition. He's got extra power. He's a leader. He's got this other bonus text. This is like a great card, especially for me, but maybe for other people as well. You've got a new No Bargain, which deploys on the Audience Chamber, allows you to deploy Salacious Crumb for the Salacious Crumb fans out there. Importantly, I think the main reason this is here is once per turn, you can raise your converted Audience Chamber to the top, or if opponent deployed a character here, place a card from hand on your use pile. So raising the converted Audience Chamber is big because when this deck plays Prophet, you're kind of screwed because they cover your Audience Chamber, and especially in a deck where the Audience Chamber has to start, that's like a big problem. So this is like a huge boost for being able to get the dark side Audience Chamber up to the top, because remember, the Audience Chamber allows you to grab an alien from your reserve deck. And then also, if opponents split a character here, place a card from hand on your force pile. So this is a way to get some extra force down to maybe play some to react or something like that. There's a new Desert Heart. I guess this is just for My Kind of Scum. Do you know, does any other deck play Desert Heart, Matt?
I don't think so. I don't know
Yeah.
why. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, so I think this is just for my kind of scum, if I'm understanding correctly. It's still 2-1. So once per turn, if you just deployed an alien here, may raise your converted Jabba's palace site to the top. So this is again a way to convert. So with my kind of scum, which starts Jabba's palace, or I guess you don't have to start Jabba's palace, if I'm remembering correctly, my kind of scum. But the problem is light side, if they're playing Prophet or whatever is playing Jabba's palace, they're covering up your Jabba's palace. So again, this allows you to raise your converted site to the top. Also, it removed the old Desert Heart text that you needed +1 land speed to move on both sides. So your characters used to get stuck here unless you had a vehicle. Your characters are no longer stuck here. And then also, really interestingly, again, this is only because I'm my kind of scum player, so I know this well, is that it's got a new Jabba's Palace icon on it. And if it's got a new Jabba's Palace icon, then that makes it count as a Jabba's Palace site, which means that if you're playing the Jabba's Palace underground passages that let you move from there to any Jabba's Palace site, you can now shuttle your characters from here and through to that site as well, which you used to not be able to do. So this is kind of niche for my kind of scum players, but I'm actually pretty excited about it. A couple other kind of like bounty hunter cards, an immediate effect that that you deploy on an opponent's just deployed character. If you've got a bounty hunter there, you can reveal the top card of each player's reserve deck and see what they are, right? If the character that you've put it on is about to be captured, you retrieve 2 force, or 3 if the client is on table. The client is an Imperial character from one of the last couple of V sets. And then return the immediate effect to hand. So this is just like a boost to bounty hunter decks, and then a new IG-88's pulse cannon that deploys on any bounty hunter, not just IG-88. And it can fire. It's not a great weapon, but it can fire repeatedly. And if you fired it repeatedly, then you more than once you can add a destiny to power or attrition. So the weapon on its own, not great, but you can fire it more than once, and then it gives you a boost when you do so. And that's our scum helpers.
This is great upgrades for you, man.
Yeah. Greg is very. I mean, the bounty hunter not so much, but yeah, actually, Greg. Thanks, PC. I appreciate you helping out poor old Professor Greg here. So those are some scum cards. Again, they've also made 2 Senate cards. The starting interrupt's basically exactly the same. If you've started the Senate objective, then you can play the starting interrupt. It allows you to play two starting effects and the epic event. So again, it allows you to start this epic event, so you don't have to dig for it, but then it limits you from 3 starting effects to 2 starting effects. And then again, similar kinds of things. You can no longer play political effects, but now you can use your senators' agendas at the Senate to cancel a react, or put a card to your use pile to activate a force, or subtract 1 from attrition against you, and so on, right? So just like a nice boost to political, to be able to get some of the benefits of political effects without playing political effects. So, and I think dark side, I see more dark side Senate decks played out there. So this is probably more of a general boost to dark side, but again, maybe the light side will start playing theirs more. Moving on, unless you want to chat about that.
No, I want to see Andy's card. Oh, there it is, Balin Skull.
So Andy designed this card. I didn't know that. Cool. So Balin Skull. So this looks like a cosplay, at least in part, image.
Yeah, not the best. I'm glad they didn't give him the best image.
Actually, it looks pretty cool, I'd say. Anyway, 6/6 comes down for 6, forfeits for 7. Can deploy a card with a mercenary in the lore or a lightsaber on him once per game. So either you get a lightsaber on him or another like mercenary character, which is cool. While in battle alone or with Shin, unless Sidious on table, an opponent has to have 2 characters or an Anakin or Yoda in battle to draw battle destiny. So opponent must have 2 characters. Does that mean exactly 2 or at least 2?
I think at least 2 would be the way I read that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
My legalese, man, it's fading. Opponent must have it. Yeah, I think it would probably say exactly
Maybe
2
only 2.
or
but
only 2. Yeah, that's what I would think. But again, maybe a slight question for the
my
rules
least
folks out
favorite
there.
people on the internet are like, the card does what the text said, right? Like, read the card.
Yeah, it's so obvious. Yeah, this is Star Wars has always been one of these games where like there's a lot of reasonable. This is why the like rule book is like 200 pages.
Little bit of
Reasonable people
rule
can
book.
disagree. DS61-3. So it comes down for 2, adds 3 to power of anything he's piloting while piloting a dreadnought or a starfighter. Draws on battles and anything to otherwise. An opponent's immunity to attrition here is limited to less than 7 or less than 5 if he's on Black 3 with Vader. And so that seems to really limit things like home 1. I don't know what else is above 7. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, so anything with like too large of an immunity is going to be limited, and then your non-Coruscant interrupts with back in the title are Destiny +2. So this doesn't work with like short-range fighters or watch your back, but I guess if you play just watch your back or Empire's back or double back, then they're Destiny +2. Again, these are all just sort of miscellaneous utilities. There's a new Sidious. This Sidious is kind of wild because he is a leader. He's got Trade Federation lore. He's an Imperial and an Episode 1 and a Jedi Master. So this is like the all-utility Sidious character. While alone or on Coruscant, your apprentice is immune to attrition. During your move phase on Coruscant, you use 1 force to relocate to your apprentice's site. Once per game, may take up a hyperwave scan, which is a pretty good utility card. Unlimited power or young fool, and he's immune to attrition. So I don't know exactly what deck this goes in.
It's like look at all those icons at the top. It goes.
Yeah. It feels like right. The icons are covering everything. And then so is this an invasion helper? Once per game may deploy. Is that Hoth? What am I looking at there? Or episode 1 device.
Yeah, it's Hoth.
Yeah, or an episode 1 device on a capital starship he's piloting. While he's piloting a Trade Federation capital starship, opponent may not cancel your battle destiny draws where you have a character of Trade Federation in lore. Yeah, interesting.
I guess
so. Yeah, but
cannon battery with him, just it's a great weapon.
Yeah, is that no? But this is a device.
Oh, device.
Device. This is showing our weakness here, Matt, in terms of what people are playing these days.
Yeah, I don't actually play open very much, or I played like twice, I lost. So just put that out there. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then one last set of miscellaneous cards before we get to the first order objective. So a couple random cards. We've got an effect, Stranded. Deploy on a character, and that character may not be targeted by Clash of Sabers. And if characters Luke or Leia may not move except during opponent's move phase. So basically, if you're sitting with a Jedi who you're worried is going to Clash of Sabers you put this on them and they can't use Clash of Sabers. And then even more restrictive if you put this on Luke or Leia. An opponent can't cancel Battle Destiny draws, and Nabran Leads is canceled globally, it looks like. Right? If I'm reading that correctly. So not just at this site, but globally Nabran Leads is canceled. I think it's completely yeah, so like interesting card to counter Clash then with some other text as well. Blast Point's a kind of general purpose utility card here. You can take up a Gick or a Hyperwave Scan, or if you just want to battle, cancel Cloud City Celebration or Tatooine Celebration, or if opponent just looked at one or more cards in their force pile or use pile, peek at the top 2 cards in your reserve deck and take one into hand. So, and hyperwave scan, I should have pulled it up, but it's a pretty good general utility. So not only can you take GIK into hand, but hyperwave scan is a pretty nice general utility interrupt from the last couple VSets. So this seems like a nice used interrupt. 5 Destiny. Grand Inquisitor's Lightsaber deploys on any Inquisitor. Dodge may not target characters here. So dodge, right, allows you, if you've got a lone light side character, to move away from battle, or it subtracts 3 from each weapon destiny draw, right? So this keeps your opponent from using that to get out of trouble. And then otherwise, normal lightsaber. I guess it doesn't add any to Force Drain, though.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. Cool looking card, too, by the way.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, very pretty. It would be cool if it was like the wide Maul's lightsaber, image as well. But I guess you can't have everything.
Okay, are we on the first order? No,
we're ready. So that's all the main stuff here. We've got the Scum helpers, the Senate, some miscellaneous stuff. The big stuff in this new set is so for those who have made it this far, 45 minutes in, it's all first order all the way. So this is a new objective focused on the first order, focused on the Last Jedi, right? So like the stuff happening in the number 8 second movie in the trilogy. So I should say right away, the art on this stuff looks pretty awesome. Before even looking at the at what it does, these are some cool looking cards. So the 0 side, you deploy crate or Dakar systems, deploy crate and Dakar systems, sorry. So you start with 2 systems, Supremacy Bridge, so that's another site, and Tracked Fleet. Talk about all of those in a minute here. So what does this do? So it restricts your card pool to episode 7 cards. Your episode 7 characters and starters are power +1. This seems really huge. Supremacy is deploy -9 to episode 7 system. So we'll get to that in a sec, but that's deploying whatever it is, it's deploying a lot cheaper than it would otherwise. Once per turn, you can deploy an episode 7 battleground. Okay, so you get other battlegrounds out. While the 0 side is up, neither player loses more than 1 force to force drains at systems, unless Tracked Fleet is there, which is an epic event. So at any system, not just yours. That's interesting. Force loss is limited to 1. And flip this card if Tracked Fleet is annihilated. So we'll talk about in a minute what that is. So basically, the big stuff on the 0 side is it looks like you've got your limited character pool, and Supremacy, which is a starter store, comes out like mad cheap, right? That's what I'm seeing. The 7, but no really bonus on, no other big bonuses on no interesting other stuff on the 0 side or bonuses. Otherwise, it actually just limits your ability to drain. The 7 side, let's see. Once per turn, you can deploy a non-unique trooper or non-unique first order vehicle. Okay, that seems from Lost Pile. Okay, so stuff that has gone to Lost Pile, you can deploy. That seems like some good text. While you occupy a crate location, your force drains at battlegrounds where you have 2 first order characters are +1. So you've got force drain bonuses at crate if you've got multiple first order characters there. While Kylo occupies Salt Plateau, opponent may not force drain where their character or permanent pilot is alone. So if you got Kylo at a particular site, then opponent has to have more than 1 character to be able to drain at a site. That's interesting. And while you control that site, opponent's force retrieval is canceled. So these seem like a lot of good bonuses on the 7 side to me. Just off the top of my head here, this seems like quite a powerful 7 side. Although you do need to occupy and control that particular site to get those bonuses. So I assume there's a lot of battles going on there. And that Salt Plateau is that big plateau outside the rebel base the resistance, sorry, not rebel base that they're all hiding in, that all the action is out in that movie at the end. So, and then you place it at a play if Kylo was just forfeited from a battle you lost at Salt Plateau where Han, Leia, or Luke present. So it flips back if you lose Kylo. So I guess that's an interesting cost. What do you think? If it's Han, Luke, or Leia, you're right.
Which I think light side won't have a problem. They're going to run all three of those probably.
Yeah, light side often has those. But I guess the other thing is, yeah, not only, so you're right that the light side might not have them, and so might not be able to flip you back. But on the other hand, if they still kill Kylo, then you don't get those 2 bonuses on the 7 side. So you only have the other bonuses. But it does look like there's like 4 different bonuses on the 7 side. So you lose Kylo, you lose 2 of them, you still have the other 2. And then, but if Kylo is lost, where Han, Leia, and Luke are, then yeah, I guess you lose it all. Still, at the moment, this seems strong to me. I've seen a lot of people playing this. I haven't looked closely at these games, so I don't know if it's as strong as it seems to me. But it seems like certainly a lot of bonuses on the 7 side. So I guess a lot depends on how do you get to the 7 side is maybe one thing to think about. So let's look at that, right? Here's what you start with. You start with Crate, which is a 1/1 site. You start with Dakar, it's a 2/1 site, and Supremacy Bridge, which is a 2/0 site. So you start with, again, like the Mind What You Learn objective, by the way, a lot of force on the table to start with. You start by generating 6 with the force for yourself. Dakar is an interesting site. When you move a First Order starship there, you activate 2 force. Okay, so this is the sites you start with. The big card is this Trax Fleet. It's this epic event. It deploys on Dakar system only at the start of the game. So you deploy it on that system. First thing is you may not deploy starships here. So you can't deploy straight to it. So wherever Tracked Fleet is, you need to move to it, which is, I guess, thematic in a certain sense of like what's going on in The Last Jedi, where the First Order is like slowly chasing the Resistance fleet. So you can't deploy starships there. Supremacy moves there for free. So another little bonus of Supremacy. 3 times per game at start of opponent's move phase, opponent may stack a card from hand face down on this card to relocate it to another episode system within 3 parsecs. Why is that interesting? So if you look at the next thing, at the start of your turn, if you control this system, Tracked Fleet is annihilated and it's placed out of play, and then the objective flips. So basically, the idea is this objective flips when you control a site that Tracked Fleet is at. So the light side has a lot of incentive to make sure you don't control a site at the beginning of your turn where Tracked Fleet is at. So they can do that either by occupying the site that Tracked Fleet is at, or this middle text, basically sacrificing a card from their hand to move Tracked Fleet away to another system where you're not present. Although there's only so many times you can do that. So I guess, you can move it to a site that the dark side's not at. But if the dark side's at all the sites, then there's nowhere for you to move it, right? But I take it, my understanding is early game, dark side's not going to be able to spread with all these Star Destroyers too quickly. So you can move it at least once, and then depending on how many ships they have out and how many systems they have out, you could potentially move it again, right?
Yeah.
How you feeling here, Matt?
I think that's right. I'm just like, it's a lot of new cards to read, so I'm like reading over the text myself. I'm like, okay.
I know. Yeah, Supremacy Bridge. It's 2/0, but if you control, it's Supremacy Power +3. I'm not looking super closely at the light side text here. It's too difficult to flip. Okay, so that's the idea. Tracked Fleet comes down with the objective. You want to control a site at the beginning of your turn as the dark side player to flip the objective. The light side's incentive is to not let you do that by either moving Tracked Fleet around or occupying the site where Tracked Fleet is to keep you from flipping. So that's how that's working. Now let's look at, so that's the basic objective that then gets you to the 7 side. Now let's look at the cards that are coming. There's a ton of cards that they've released to help with this. The big one is the Supremacy card. So let's look at these ships. These are the two big ships in this deck, and big in every sense of the word here. By the way, again, beautiful freaking images here. I think these are gorgeous. So kudos to whoever did this. Looking at Supremacy, this was a monster. Comes out for 16, forfeits for 16, power 13, armor 10. Terrible hyperspeed. Unlimited pilots, passengers, starfighters, vehicles, so it's like the Executor in this regard. Permanent pilot provides ability of 4, so it draws destiny on its own. Immune to attrition less than 10. Normally less than 12 if Snoke is aboard, and if it's at the same site as tracked fleet, it's immune to attrition entirely. So that's interesting. It's immune to attrition entirely when it's at the same site as tracked fleet until tracked fleet is gone and you flip to the 7 side, but still immune to quite a lot. And it looks like it comes down for 7, because remember, it's coming down for 9 if you're on the 0 side of the objective. So this is actually coming down for 7 force.
That's incredible.
That is pretty incredible, I will say, to get all of that for 7. Although before anyone starts hating on virtual cards or the PC, I will say, like, you can get the Executor out for free in in this game, you know, in the Decipher version of this game, depending on what deck you're playing. So this is still, you know, 7 more force than it would cost for you to get the Executor out if you're playing. What, this deal's getting worse all the time, right?
Yeah.
So, but yes, it is. That's pretty cheap to get this out for 7. So that is a beast of a starship. And then the full
the power like just looks unnatural in that. Like, it looks like there's too many words.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, a little bit. So this is power 10, armor 8. 9/9, add 5 pilots, so on and so forth. This text is really interesting here. If opponent about to move a starship from here, they lose a force. That seems to be not once per turn. So if your opponent's like moving away 4 starships, then they're losing 4 force, if I'm understanding this correctly. Unless they can, like, you know, embark force, you know, but still, for every starship that's not embarked, they are losing a force moving away. So that's like thematic, but that can be, you know, if you're playing a deck with like a bunch of starships and you need to run away, that is costly. And deploys -2 if track fleet on table. So this is also coming down for 7. So by the way, both of these look to be coming out for 7. You know, with some caveats. So these seem to be quite powerful. Again, I don't know exactly how this deck is playing on GEMP right now, or in person for those playing in person, but this seems like a lot of powerful stuff. I assume they've done a fair amount of play testing before they released this, so I am probably not correctly modeling how difficult some of this stuff is, but definitely this seems quite powerful.
I think you're correct. I think these ships, I mean, they also look awesome, but they're just like cheapish big ships. That's great.
Yeah. That's right. Of course, like, if you're not playing this objective, you know, Supremacy is not worth playing, because you're not going to play this in any other deck, just given how costly it is to put out. But the other ship you might be more general utility. Like, you might see that in a map deck or something like that. It strikes me. Okay. Those are the ships. We've got some characters. We've got a first order leader. While he's on a first order starship, its armor and immunity to attrition is +1. If the fulminatrix, I don't know why that's so hard for me to say, its armor is +2 and it's immune to attrition less than 6 instead. And he can cancel a bunch of cards here. Alternatives to fighting, hit and run, and opponents react. So this seems like a good card. Again, it also kind of seems thematic with what's going on during that part of The Last Jedi. With like the first order chasing down the resistance and, like, you know, limiting their tricks. So you hit and run, you can't run away from battle, you can't react to the battle. So interesting card here. Then we've got a couple like Knights of Ren dudes over here. We've got a 4/3/1. While in episode 7 objectives on table, he draws a battle destiny if unable to otherwise, and got a built-in weapon. That looks normal-ish, nothing that great. This Vicryl character for 4, and comes down for 4 for 7. Power +1 for each opponent's card out of play. And the last text here, if you initiated a force drain, may place topmost interruptive opponent's lost pile out of play. So while I guess this mechanic works with other cards as well, but basically every time you drain with him, you're placing a card out of play, which then makes him extra power. And then opponent can't cancel your battle destiny draws, where you have Kylo or a Knight of Ren. So that seems like a good utility character. But both of these Knights of Ren seem useful for any kind of first order deck, certainly in this one. There is no other. There's no other like first order objective other than map, right?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. So, although I guess you can be playing a non first order objective based deck that still uses these cards as well, but these seem like reasonable like general utility cards here. Let's look at some of the red cards here. So we've got an effect that your first order starships are deploy -1, so that'll get those starships, those big Star Destroyers out even cheaper. -2 if to Dakar, and they're hyperspeed +1. So this actually can now get the supremacy out for 5 force potentially, and the fulminatrix out for also potentially 5 force as well. And then during your deploy phase, this lets you do the thing where you can deploy a first order starship from hand with a first order pilot or vice versa. So this allows you, if you've got one, you can dig for the other. So that seems like a really useful effect for this deck, and for any first order deck, really. You've got a couple used interrupts here. What do they do? There's just a lot of text on this here, man. Fired episode 7 blaster or cannon into battle an adjacent site. So that seems to be for like an AT-AT, whatever kind of the version of the AT-AT, that the first order uses. If Kylo in battle, add 1 to address on Destiny. Once per game during battle, if you just fire an episode 7 weapon, it can fire again. Good utility used interrupt here. Another one, during battle at a site related to a system your Dreadnought or Star Destroyer occupies, add 1 to your total battle destiny. If you control that system, add 2 instead, and the number of battle destiny draws may not be limited. So this is like another, seems like a quite useful used interrupt that adds to your battle destiny here. So these all seem like generally useful cards. I imagine this effect is like a no-brainer auto include starting effect, and these interrupts seem, I imagine these are all auto includes for anyone playing this deck, if I had to guess. Although I don't know.
Package around it's like you probably should use it.
Again, other nice looking cards here. I mean, because I think with first order stuff, they're sort of forced to use all. They can't really use a lot of art from Decipher cards, so like everything is new and looks pretty snazzy, it seems to me. Let's see some of the sites out here. So we've got the Salt Plateau and the Outpost Entrance. So the Outpost Entrance Cavern is where the Resistance characters are hiding. The Salt Plateau is where all the action's going on right outside of it. You force drain +1 at the Outpost Entrance Cavern. Kylo can't be excluded from battles there. Let's see, the Salt Plateau +1. Combat vehicles are power defensive value +1. What is this on the other side? This looks interesting. While the resistance is doomed on table, which is the 7 side of your objective, 4 strains here may not be canceled or reduced. So a lot of incentive to put Kylo down on the Salt Plateau and maintain control there. Because now Lightside can't reduce or cancel your 4 strains, and you get all those other benefits with the 7 side. So I imagine in this deck there's a lot of action at the Salt Plateau. And then the Supremacy Throne Room, which is a 2/1 site and allows you to get Snoke down there. And then Snoke member makes the Supremacy immune to a little bit of extra attrition, right? So not only can you get Snoke down, but you can do other thematic stuff with him in this deck. So those are your sites. And then finally, we've got the AT-M6. That's what they're called. I was blanking on it. Combat vehicle, permanent pilot provides ability of 2, power 7, armor 6. During your deploy phase, may deploy a first order trooper here from used pile. So that's interesting. And that's any first order trooper, not just a non-unique. So that's Phasma or whoever. From your used pile. So how do you know they're in your used pile? What do you think here, Matt? Did I miss a card? Is there a card that, besides just tracking or just playing the odds?
I'm not quite sure. Is there something? Maybe there's another card. I don't know. I don't know why you know it was in your use pile.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, this is this is like our fourth or fifth flagging for people who know more than us out there. I mean, if you have enough in there, maybe odds are good. Maybe if you've been tracking something, odds are, but yeah, maybe there's some other card that'll allow you to do this anyway. Oh wait, what's the effect that works with map that lets you, when you deploy characters, you can dig into your use pile for a card, like the I must be allowed to speak version. There's a DS effect that people use in map that when you deploy like Kylo or Snoke or those characters, you can take any card from your use pile into hand. So if you do use that, then you can see what's in your use pile, and then you can use this and then what's in your use pile to use this. So that might be it. Maybe there's other ways as well. And then it's got a weapon on it as well. So target a character or vehicle. Add 1 if it's at an episode 7 site, and if total destiny +1 is greater than the defensive value, its hit and its forfeit is cumulatively -3. And if during battle, opponents' characters and vehicles there are cumulatively power -1. So if you've got a couple of these down on a couple different ATM 6s, then you can keep using them to kind of keep reducing your opponent's power at the site. Although I'm skeptical, you'd be playing any significant number of these in a deck. I will say this does seem like between the starter stories you need in this deck, and then the characters to put on them, and the characters you need on the ground, and the cost of these vehicles, it's a lot of force. So I am imagining that it might be hard to really split your attention between what's going on in space and what's going on the ground and do that well. That seems to strike me as a weakness of this off the top of my head, that like it seems very powerful, but I don't think you can actually do everything well in this deck.
You start to like just realize that how many cards you have on the table, right? And like
yeah.
Your life force is like 32 force, right?
Yeah, so potentially between the starter stories and the characters you need on them and the characters you need down here and this, not only is it you're putting a lot out there, but again, it's still going to be a force hungry deck, even if you can get those starter stories out for cheap.
Okay, is that it?
That is it. We have covered set 25.
That is it. My good. I mean, I hope this is helpful for folks that are trying to dive into like the various like meta games. I think that every set, like, you don't need to know every card. You just need to know the cards that you want to use, right? Like that's you don't need to all like 2,000 whatever virtual cards. Just find like the 200 you like, or whatever you like.
I agree. I honestly, doing these videos with you has made me a bit more sensitive to things, but more generally speaking, like I pay attention to only what interests me. Like a new set comes out and I'm like, that's good for my Scum deck. That's good for my Prophet deck. That's good for, and then I like filter everything else.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting everyone needs to do it. I know there's plenty of people who really get excited about making new decks, and new objectives, and I think that's actually a really great aspect of what the PC is doing with this, because like for people who have the bandwidth for that, like this is amazing. Like there's this 18 new cards they just released for the First Order. There's 13 new cards they just released for Mind What You Have Learned. So like for those people who get like really excited about deck building in response to like new cards, like there is a lot in this set for them.
100% agree. All right, we're going to call it here, guys. If you have more questions about Virtual Set 25, there's a link to the card list and all this stuff. Go play with the set. Go have fun with it. I might try Open. I don't know. Probably not. But I enjoy like learning about Open.
You should play Open, Matt. Open's great. You're living in the past, dude. You're living in the 20th century.
I like the 20th century. It's a good century. All right, that's all we've got, guys. We'll catch you later. Thanks so much, Greg.
Bye.